If you don't pay yourself a real salary, you don't own a business, you own a job. So many people that I talk to, they do not have anything that they're taking from their business. It's astounding to me. Or they're not taking what they really need from the business. And sometimes it's like, hey, well, I'm just getting up and running, or I'm just getting started. Sometimes it's people that have been an entrepreneur for years and years, or a business owner, and they're just like, I don't know. I don't know how to pay myself. I don't know how to do that. I've read Rich Dad Poor Dad, and I've read all these books that tell me how to pay myself, or that I should be paying myself, but I don't know how to. I don't know those steps. And I read a book years ago that changed my life, and now we implement an entire system around this to make sure you are paying yourself first. It's the book Profit First, because I was in a business where we were doing lots of deals, lots of transactions. We were doing millions of dollars per year, but we were spending more than we were making, and something had to change. And then I started working with business owners, not just as an employee, but then as a business owner, and saw other business owners where they were doing a tenth, maybe even a fraction of what we were doing when I was in that company 10 years ago. And then they still weren't paying themselves, and they didn't have the money to be able to pay themselves. They didn't have a good system. They may have had the money, but they didn't know how to pay themselves, or where they could pay themselves from, or how to even understand that psychologically, like, it's okay to pay yourself, and you're not a bad business owner if you pay yourself, and that type of thing. So that's where, when I read that book, Profit First, it really opened my eyes, because it took the concepts like Rich Dad, Poor Dad, where it says pay yourself first, The Richest Man in Babylon, A Portion of All You Have Is Yours to Keep, that other book out there, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, Stephen Covey, where it's like one of the habits is first things first. Well, in a business, it's crazy, right? A for-profit business needs to be profitable. And how many business owners put profit last in their business, and usually end up putting themselves last? And when it comes to their pay, and when it comes to the business and all of that, where there's books out there like Simon Sinek, I think, wrote a book called Leaders Eat Last, which is great. It's about servant leadership. It's how you have the emotional paycheck for the team, and how you show up for that team. But when it comes to paying yourself as a business owner, you should not be paid last. You should be paid first. You know why? Just because if someone was doing your job in that seat, they would be paid. You would expect to pay them, and they would expect to be paid. I want you to treat yourself like an employee of the business, because you are. You're the best employee. You're the one giving up the time, the energy, the money, everything to be able to invest all you are into this business. I want you to get rewarded for that. So what does it really mean to pay yourself? That means that from every deal that you do, all the sales that you have in your business, that you actually have a salary that you draw, or that you take something from the business on a consistent basis. I get it. If you're just starting out, you might not be able to take much. You might not be doing lots of deals. You might not be doing lots of sales. But I want you to start somewhere. Profit First gives a good system that doesn't just tell you you should pay yourself. It tells you how to pay yourself. How do you do that? You set up some bank accounts. So what does that mean? Dave Ramsey's made it super popular in the personal finance space, where you set up the envelopes in your personal life, and then you pay your, like you get paid, and then you give all the money into envelopes like rent, utilities, mortgage. It could be groceries and gas and all that stuff. Then every dollar has a name. In your business, I want you to set up business checking accounts and name every dollar, because the principle that I want to teach you is that it's way more important as a business owner to know where every dollar is going. And one of those accounts you'll get, and guess what? It's literally called owner's pay. So I'm going to focus on that. I might go over the different accounts in a different video, but even if you are out there and you just listen to this, and instead of setting up all these bank accounts, if you just listen to this video and you set up one account, you call it the owner's compensation account, and you actually start from every sale that you make, a portion of that sale goes into the owner's comp account. You'll start the habit of a wealthy business owner. That's a good money habit. Lots of people are waiting for money events. They're waiting for one day in the future for a big sale to happen, and all of their financial troubles are taken care of, or they have such consistent deal flow and sales that they don't have to worry about the money. But if you have consistent deal flow, If you have the big deal that happens, but you don't have a system for your cash, you will always find yourself back in the same place, which is you make money, but you feel broke. I want you to have that one bank account that is dedicated to you, the owner. Call it owner's compensation. Call it an owner's comp or owner's pay account. That way, from every deal that you do, every sale that you make, a portion of it goes into that account. And you say, how much should I put, David? Well, I'm going to tell you, it depends on what you can do. If you're already into your business and let's say you're making 500,000 plus in revenue, but you've never paid yourself before, or you paid yourself just a pittance, like hardly anything, then I would set up that account and I would do what you can do. Can you do 1%? Can you do 5%, 10% into that account to pay yourself? Start with a percentage that you can do consistently in the business from every sale that you make. Now, let's just say you're under 500,000, you're a newer business owner. How much would you pay yourself if you're a newer business owner and you say, well, maybe you have a W-2 still, maybe you still work a job, but you're in this other business part-time as a side hustle and you want to get to full-time. You say, well, I don't really have to pay myself because I have a job and it's providing all my needs. I would argue that just because you have a job does not mean that one day you won't want your business to overtake the money that you're making in your job currently. So if you want that to happen, you have to start with good habits. Start with that owner's comp account, set it up. A portion of all that you make needs to go into that account. So see, a portion of all you have is yours to keep. Here's the practical steps. You set it up. You set up that owner's comp account, and from everything you do, you put inside there. And if it is 1%, that's fine. I want you to get into the habit. Now, let's just say you're a newer business owner and you want to be able to break away from your W-2. I would put as much as humanly possible inside that owner's comp account. Can you do 20, 30, 40, 50, maybe 60, 70% of what you make into the owner's comp bucket? Because if you're aggressively trying to leave your W-2, I want you to have several months worth, if not 6 months to 12 months before you take that leap of faith, unless you're just going out there and you say, I love the risk, I'm going to go out there, I would still have at least 3 months of reserves in the owner's comp account. But a general rule of thumb for me that I would want for you is that can you have 6 to 12 months in that owner's comp account? So that way, if you jump ship from your W-2, then you say, at least I could pay myself for half a year to a year from what I've made in the business, and it's in that owner's comp account. And even if it doesn't get off the ground, maybe I hit a fluke and I had several good deals up front, but then I don't get anything for a while. That way you could still pay yourself consistently until you get to consistent deal flow or consistent sales. But this is why so many people don't pay themselves, because they don't have a system. They don't have a system to pay themselves. They just heard those words before, like pay yourself first, or make sure that you have something to be able to pay yourself. Well, here's the system. Here, I'm giving you the bottom line. I'm giving you the very practical thing you could do right from this conversation we're having right now, from this recording. Go out, set up one account, call it owner's comp. A portion of everything you make goes into that account. If you want to quit your W-2, try to save 6 to 12 months in there. If you're already out of your W-2 and you're full-time, put as much as you can in the owner's comp, but while you're still growing the business, but start to pay yourself consistently. If you're always struggling with, well, I don't want to take money out because I want to reinvest in everything. If you're not getting what you want from the business, I promise, living off of less on the business side, but paying yourself will also free up mental capacity to make better decisions for yourself and for the business. Just try it out. If you don't believe me, why don't you see if the proof's in the pudding? I will say I've spoken on this a lot. This is one of my topics of conversation that comes up a lot because I talk with a lot of people that have not paid themselves or paid themselves consistently. So there was a guy at an event that I spoke to a couple years ago. He did that. He went out and set up one account, and then saw me at another event a year later. He came up to me and said, I set up one account and I started putting money away from every sale that I did. He's like, I've never had business reserves before, let alone pay myself what I need. He's like, I have 6 months of reserves for my entire business inside of that account. He's like, it just took a little bit of pushing and you setting up, you tell me to set up one account. He's like, I could do one account. That was very simple. And I could do just a portion of everything that I make goes into that account. I'm not telling you anything that's rocket science. I'm just telling you these are disciplines, these are principles, these are habits that will serve you as a business owner, and at the end of the day, give you what you really want, which is a business that's getting you to financial freedom, getting you to pay yourself, getting you to actually sleep at night and say, hey, I can actually pay myself from the business. Thanks for spending time with me today. If this episode gave you clarity or a new perspective, be sure to like, subscribe, and comment below. If you're ready to apply what we talked about today with real guidance and accountability, visit ProfitREI.com to schedule a free discovery call with us to create your path to financial clarity and freedom.